What's going on, everybody? My name is Austin. You are back from Burgerfi Gaming, and we are here with Tiny Bunny. It is supposed to be a horror visual novel type of game. Everybody who knows me knows that I am kind of a bitch. Where did my relay go? There it goes. Okay. So, yeah, I'm kind of a bitch. I don't like horror games. I'm bad at them, but this game was free. So I was like, whatever, it could be kind of fun. So, as you see, I've got absolutely nothing. Gonna hop into a new game here. The wind clawed at my window all night long. Wait a second. Okay. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days, and it was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and a dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One would come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It was just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, you can see like an outline of something? Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. I didn't protest. I put the book about Conan and the Barbarian aside. Like Conan Exiles? I was stuck on a line. I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya, Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic. She almost looked like her typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy, anxiousness welled up inside, all because from the previous sleepless night, black forest around our house and a gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. I bet it's pretty awful. Or how cold black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it! I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty boards once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina. What that says? I see Capna. Ah, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. Sure was a rascal damaging furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood recently. I imagined her being my age sitting under this table. Wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagined my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed where Olia sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you are a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. and that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were times. Those were the times without the meddling screams until late at night. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening to one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olia was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. Turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of the frost formed a picture on the glass. Oh yeah, look, it's a fox. Yeah, so it was making something in the beginning. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of students' notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit, and under a certain angle... No, not outside, on the window. Look, there's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up! Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one. Oh, that's a different emotion. Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one. I'm telling you, it does. Nuh-uh, it does! Stop it, these kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. Where the fuck did it go? Disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern and some... Excuse me. Only frosty patterns similar to stretched out nettles or nettle leaves kept creeping onto the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. It's a handsome man. That's a handsome man. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. I want a beard like his now, damn it. I can't even get mine to grow. Mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shave it off. It stings. This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olia always covers her ears when she hears something like, what's the point in all this? Through the wall. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of our family. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Dick? D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. It's scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken in two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man. A father too, and still. Karina, please stop. Dude just walked into the fucking kitchen. Just walked in, all of a sudden just getting to business. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and just finish eating already. And the owl... There was no owl. There was one! It had giant glowing eyes. Excuse you. I should not have been scared by that. Olia sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers. Oh, I cannot stop yawning. Her fingers the size of apple in each. Or, type an apple each. Last year, you had Bye-Bye in your closet, and now this owl? But I saw it. Olia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olia powdered her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes, so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad had already glued together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved into the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Ollie had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. Damn it. She would toss and turn or curl up in a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Excuse you! And then Oya saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Oya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe the owl was just one of her nightmares. After the night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words and what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect at my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led into a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? Damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. A small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometime I imagine my mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet. My mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent, easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners on the closet, cobwebs, and our stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception I could hear a flute. That is strange. I didn't even realize the music was going until I said it. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like something is playing in it there amidst the cold snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with dark forests as their backdrop. jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from a bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room, listening to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, and circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blankets as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral of my grandma, lying there, hands across her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with the tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside the socket and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. Ew. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure, now lying under the blanket listening to the squeaks and howls that repeated the same words. On the island of Buyan, beneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay hard and ashen hair for spawn from the devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked up under the blanket and saw the curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched in my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. He had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remembered him staring at the forge intently as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, then drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness, and then the doorknob twitched slightly. It turned halfway once, twice if the person who tried to enter had no hands. I tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear, my wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked open. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now... Oh shit! Cramp. Ow. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, all ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tony, are you asleep? The sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. Go fuck yourself! I almost screamed from relief. Olya, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure of myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? The question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? Was studying me with eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chance. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Oh! Oh, God, fuck! Damn it! Oh! Go fuck yourself! That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olia and her owl in the morning. You could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere. You don't know anyone around here. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. So persistent. I was extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning's guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oya always hides. Tony, come here! I felt like kettleballs were tied to my feet, but I still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. The moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello. Senior officer, with a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name was Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held a photograph out to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your windows look straight to the forest, don't they? The window? No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cranks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit, just our little daughter misses the city a lot. This city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is alright, thank you. The policeman peered through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end his unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my little nephews. You look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in the police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people, just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, stay away from trouble. Times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Well then. What grade do you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'll be going to school for the first time after the break. Then I'll leave you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne, and the photo of a smiling boy. His face stood still before my eyes. For some reason, I thought the forest swaying in the wind. What does poor parents feel? What would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other, like they always do, and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it. Poor child. I looked out the window and the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I read this summer. The average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spotted suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities that must have made their parents very proud. I noticed the trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. Not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying an Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player for a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad lost his job at the time. There's an annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what the accountant's job like. They count money, I think? Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had any money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Yeah, I know what that's like. My parents were also not very well off when I was growing up, so we didn't have a lot of chance to do anything. But that didn't stop me from having, a good time with my parents. We still, even as a kid, I would read a lot. I was kind of a nerd. I was that kid that would always be reading. But, I also got that vivid imagination, so I was able to go out and play with my friends. And even if I didn't have friends over, I would just, stay inside, and I would have like little toy soldiers that I would play with and come up with stories and all that stuff. Like, it was just kind of my thing. But it's hard growing up like that, man. It really is. But we got through it just fine. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a little pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside! Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals or something even worse? Even worse, echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. You sure what I said? Or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates it when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself on a freshly sharpened axe. And Olya can't be lured close to it. She thinks Bye-Bye still lives there. I tried to help her fight her fears once, opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see there's nothing but cobwebs and Dad's tools and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. I like to hide in the closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3. Better hide from me. Then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the cramped monster's den. What? Parents prohibited me from making long-distance calls, but from time to time I really want to hear my old friend's voice. Sometimes I would just pick up the phone and listen to the low hum of the zoomer and the distant crackling, imagining the wind howling and the ice leading the cords. Leading the cords? Ah. Mom's peg top, a family relic. Mom played with it when she was little, then she gifted it to me. Olya was next in possession. The toy belongs to her now. She stared at the dancing spindle as if it could show her something, a fairy tale or maybe even our future. Now even my little sister was a bit too old for the squeaky peg top. The cross had seen so many people come and go into this house. It was black as if it absorbed all human sin from the long years it was hanging under the ceiling. After Grandma died, Mom was going to take it off and hang a horseshoe in its place as a lucky charm, but she cut herself with across a sharp corner and almost fell from the stepladder. Dad called it a sign from above and ordered the cross to be left alone in its rightful place. The decrepit and stain-covered calendar was once my favorite form of entertainment in Grandma's house. I remember waking up and running to the kitchen so I could tear off yesterday's leaf. Yeah, first thing in the morning, as if the coming day would get lost in the taiga forest without my help. One day closer to New Year's, one day closer to my grandma's funeral. I haven't touched this calendar for years now. This is the first time they started writing dark and spooky death chants. It only made me gloomy instead of funny. Proverbs and superstitions. Superstitions to be exact. I grabbed a dusty calendar leaf with caution and tore it off effortlessly. Sadly, the spooky descriptions from our childhood were still there. 7 horses carry the log. If 7 can't carry, bring the 8th from a fairy. They will take it away and never come back. This is the fate the log cannot escape. I crumpled the gray leaf and threw it into the waste bin, hoping to get rid of some of the anxiousness that washed over me. It was spreading inside me like an ink stain on blotting paper. Americana of Russia. Were you in Russia? Americana of Russia has declared the state of emergency due to adverse weather conditions. Hey, us too! According to the weather forecast, a cyclone is moving toward the region. Expect heavy snowfall, blizzards, and snowdrifts on the road. Keep your eyes open and take care of yourself. The side of an old ocean freezer was checkered with childish drawings, mom's recipes, and all kinds of stickers from bubblegum with dinosaurs that Olia liked so much. Among that still life picture hung a piece of ruled paper with the phone number of the police officer who visited us. First Lieutenant Tikhonov, I read inside my mind, looking at the officer's sprawling handwriting. The scrap of paper was held by 2 pieces of broken magnet from some old Soviet toy, and those pieces just barely covered up the numbers as if to taunt me. I leaned toward it to unveil the mystery and take the piece to a safer place where it would wait for its time when I would finally find Vova and be the first to call the police with the happy news. Anton! Mom's reproachful eyes stared at me. What do you need it for? Hands off. You'll lose it. Anchoring my mom was the last thing I wanted, so I lowered my hand. I took a peek at Mom's crossword. She would get very angry when someone gave her advice, so me and Dad faked knowing the answer and being about to reveal it all the time. I smiled at that fleeting thought. Vertical, 9 letters, the name of a Philistine deity that protected them from viper bites, had the nickname Lord of Flies. Second letter is E. I don't know. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olia there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. Anton, I'll whip you if you make a single step outside that door. What am I supposed to do? I was already in the kitchen. You need to distract Mom somehow, or I'll get scolded and my ass whipped with my dad's leather belt. Ah. Anton, get your ass out of that closet immediately. Jeez. Anton, get your hands off the phone. God.
Машина, в которой он находился, была обстреляна неизвестными вооруженными.
Nothing else here. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there's no other way for me to run away from the home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there's stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here, so you've had enough of shooting these stupid ducks now? Told you with Kind Scope will go dim because of your console. Will I find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Reaches the settings? Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hand, cleans on her apron, and went to Olia's room. Opened the front gate, went to the field. Carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, snow piles came as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping and round, holding hands. Hypnotizing music started playing again, or playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. A barely audible whisper in my head, blurry, almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olia. This time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olia turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Out apartment. I think our apartment became numb to a couple days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed, with Olia present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way, but one day it all changed. Something important had left our home. Something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up. Our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything? And somewhere, far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me and this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like bat snakes. I can't read today. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing uncomfortable thoughts about the fences. Were they protecting the forest, or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging off one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow. When I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of the Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Was Milton helping find the lost boy? Boba! Heard a distant shout. It looked like it came from the river. Boba! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Boba! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Boba! I knew someone was looking for a lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. I don't see a figure. Its stillness, how it bent unnaturally toward the ground. What? There's blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment. When I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So was my imagination after all. Silence regained for a painfully long time. My muscles were tightly sprung. My heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket and I'd sprint. But nothing of that sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I decided to take the lonely mitten from the branch. Boba! A shout rumbled across the field, dissolved into distance. No echo, no hope for a reply. I stepped toward the bristly tree and tried to claim my find. It didn't budge. I pulled harder. The branch cracked and mitten tore off, landing in my hand with a squishy sound. All too heavy. Wet. I squeezed it without thinking. Something dark spilled from it, forming a tiny string between the mitten and the snow. Steam rose from the snow pile. Oh my god! I froze in place, studying my palms in disgust. Red. The sound of cracking branches invaded the silence. I didn't have time to think twice before running away. Someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll get me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was one more voice, probably whatever reason, that gave me strength and spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing, a hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the earth of dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back! I felt like I was going inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in snowpile was clutching into my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone. My boots slipped out of the hole and my soles were on hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump from there, ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. That house was my last line of defense. From the shadows that flapped their wings, the creatures that were hidden under the snow, tripped up the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with his paws to make me let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. But if they were already in her front yard, Mom had locked the door. Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob and it obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than the blanket. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she'd always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too, if there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring, and with the last bit of my strength, I had left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. My mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment were gone. My mom looked the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was little and wanted her to cuddle me. Mom regained her composure fast and pulled on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest. Did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me. I thought... I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned towards me and sniffed my clothes, like a beast searching for the smell of tobacco. She squinted, her eyes in suspicion, and looked in the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant. She covered her mouth with her hand. Look over there, at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again. My pursuers were following me in the field. I swear that I've heard that something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow, their icy winter patterns on glass. Dogs. Just a small pack of strays with no name and owner, barely reminding of the hungry monsters that live at the edge of the forest. Oh boy, you're scared of them. I think they'd rather be scared of you, Anton. They were chasing me like a bunny. And what if they're rabid? The smile slowly disappeared from my mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was the first time seeing them. What if they attacked Olya? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Mom, look, they're alive. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind. You're not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among those monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. What for? What use do I have for this? Mitten. Of course. A dark and sticky mitten that belonged to a lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching at it the whole time. That was my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look, it's Volva's mitten. The boy the police were asking about in the morning. It's drenched in blood and I found it hanging on a tree. I can show you where. Let's call the police right away. Like the officer had told us to. Mom, look! Ew! A shadow of doubt crept slowly on my mom's contorted face, as if she was trying to remember something distant, like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slips away. Stop at this moment. Ollie will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. You joke around like this. You don't realize it was actually wet from snow. There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy who cried wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come here, take your pills. A golden-colored pill reminiscent of a dead wasp fell onto my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. I told you to stay home, and you... That would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. I had to swallow the bitter medication, drinking it down with similarly awful water that gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Volva's mitt. Maybe it wasn't a mitt at all. Just like the forest monsters, and Olya's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my over-exaggerated brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it. Anton, done? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom, I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son, and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything alright? You had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm alright, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. The sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared in the bathroom tiles. The light bulbs also felt different, dimmer and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. A melody from Aladdin could be heard from the upper floor. Olya was done watching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot difference puzzles. So I went upstairs. Jafar and Iago's voices died down. That was not either one of them. I walked past Olya's bedroom and slipped into my own. One of the drawers was empty. I hid the mitten there. Simple action drained from the last bit of strength in me. I sat on the bed. Only then I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hand dropped to the sheets. Whether it was due to medication I took or the stress I underwent, the room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The room's corners bent, undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy bit of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor, just like savant of sorts. Oya? Who else would be standing there? I stood up, licked my dried up lips. Yeah, Oya, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached toward the curtain. Ba-doom, ba-doom beat my heart, controlled by medication. The wind sang in the field with a chorus of voices. For a second I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They're looking, without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. Gotcha! I knew it was you from the beginning. A blindingly bright halo lit up above Oya's head with the setting sun as its background. My sister was shining. When she was just a baby, Dad always used to say she was shining with happiness. I always retorted, but Dad, she's not some flashlight. But I brought her to the window one day and sunlight poured onto her smiling face. I felt like I was holding a child woven from light. I saw everything. Oh, really? What did you hide? She was just like my mom when she was little, before she put on her sad mask of tiredness and switched to her commanding tone of voice. It's nothing, just... Oya ran up to the table, her eyes round, and asked, You stole something and hid it there. Are you a thief? What? Don't be stupid. I didn't steal anything. A clear image came to mind that the mitten hanging from a tree branch. What if I did steal it after all? From the forest, from the tilted figure standing behind the black trees. Oya could be selfish and stubborn, but she wanted. When she wanted. Then show me. If Freddy won't tell anyone, then I'll show you. Oya wore a plodding smile. I swear on Mom's heart. It was she heard in one of the movies about the pioneers we've watched. They'll say things like that. Oya nodded and made a gesture with her hand, locking her mouth with an imaginary key. She was filled with curiosity that was flashing in her giant eyes. Opened the drawer and Oya leaned in, holding her breath. It looked like there was not just a simple mitten, but some sort of exotic critter. Is that someone's mitten? She said that as if she couldn't understand what she saw. A certain boy lost it and got lost himself. Now, do you understand how dangerous it is for kids to wander into the forest, right? It must really be cold out there. Will they find him? They will. The police are going house to house, showing his photo to everybody. Oya traversed the room with care and pressed her tiny palms against the window. And why are they going to houses, not the forest? Are they scared? The question caught me off guard. The police aren't scared of anything. Yeah, right, flashed my clouded mind. Did they really check every nook and cranny where darkness, cold, and whispers of icy branches dwell? If that's the case, how did they miss the mitten? Or did it appear later? For me. I changed the topic, as if trying to get Oya as far away as possible from the forest thicket. We may get a reward if I go find this boy myself, and a lot of stuff, like in Field of Wonders. Sounds cool, right? Oya wasn't listening to me. He's piercing the forest with incredibly adult eyes, uncharacteristic for her. What if the owl got him? Nonsense, an owl won't be able to lift a human. But you know what? I was picking my words with utmost care. I forced them out my over-exaggerated brain. Stay away from the forest. I think it's, how should I put it? It's cursed or something. It's like in a fairy tale? No, not like that. More like in that spooky tape Mom and Dad are hiding from us. That's a porno. Oya shivered and stole a glance at the window. I saw you running away. Someone was chasing you? No, it's just, I was hurrying back home so Mom wouldn't be worried. I looked at my sister, my heart was tearing apart. She was so fragile, it was so easy to stifle her light. A gust of wind and her small fire would be gone. You're lucky. Mom wouldn't even let me go outside. I'm like a princess in the tower, can't go anywhere. I'll die of boredom here. You're wrong, no one has ever died of boredom, and you have me in your cartoons, and Mom and Dad will be good to each other soon. You know what? I would wish for on my next birthday? I wish for Mom and Dad turned to children so we could go play together like we used to. Yeah, and if you'd make them as small as bugs, you'd place them in a little box. Oya giggled and tugged at my sleeve. Tell you, let's go watch Aladdin. Fatigue went over my desire to be with my little sister. I was washed over by some sort of heinous apathy. I'm too tired. I don't want to. Come on. It's so boring alone and Mom is always busy. We can pick a cartoon you haven't seen before. I know all of your tapes by heart at this point. Not all of them. You haven't watched Peter Pan. Remember how you fell asleep in the middle of it? It happens, and so much happens after that. Let's go, let's go. Maybe a little bit later. Should I tell you how it ends? Let's leave that for tomorrow. I won't tell you tomorrow. I know, let's play hide and seek. No, Oya. Then draw me a dino. Oya, please. Draw it, draw it. You leave me alone already. I blurted it out without thinking, and I was immediately taken aback. I'd never screamed at my little sister like that. Oya stared at me in shock. Her lips started trembling, a precursor to her tears. My chest was seething with disgust and embarrassment. What's happening to me? I hurried to prevent Oya from crying. Alright, you win. Let's watch cartoons for a bit. I don't wanna. I came up to her, put my hands on her soft head. Let's go. Let's watch Peter Pan. Boo! You'll fall asleep again. I smiled, lifted her chin, her eyes wet and felt bottomless. I promise I won't. I'll draw you a full Triceratops later. Hooray! Tripsire Pops! Well, close enough. Aw, it's adorable. Oya rubbed her eyes with the sleeve of her pajamas and a shining smile returned to her face. I'll go ask Mom for condensed milk and bread. You can run the tape. The bread is fresh, just how you like it. Alright, just be careful not to spill the milk, or you'll be yelled at again. Want to bet I won't spill it? The tape is somewhere in the nightstand. Look for it. Oya disappeared into the doorway and I dragged my feet into the neighboring room. Piggy bank. Oya is saving money for a real puppy because Dad said that taking care of him will take a lot of money. Oya's countless toys. An old teddy bear is the main attraction here. Oya doesn't sleep without it. And she digs her nose into her fur when she sleeps. What sucks right now, guys, is I really need to eat. I haven't eaten all day, and I'm starving. And Tosh just brought me food, but I can't eat it yet because it's a reading game, and I can't read with food in my mouth. I have to try to finish this, then I'll go have a smoke real quick because it's stressing me out, and then I'll eat. Scary window where Oya sees the cursed owl every night, lurking in the dark. Oya keeps curtains open during the day, but as soon as the twilight comes out, she shuts them tight so she wouldn't see the pair of hungry eyes outside. Alright. The old Photon TV was gathering dust in the corner. All that was left was clicking the button on the front panel. The tube warmed up with familiar white noise started dancing on the black screen. I almost reached out to turn on the VCR when the noise calmed down and a blurry image appeared for the moment. It was a dark taiga forest, just like the one outside my window. The picture split the screen in half. Something creepy resembling human speech is coming out of the speaker. A few moments later, the scenery was again overshadowed by noise. Did it catch some rough signal? Rogue signal. Local TV station only really showed Soviet cartoons, and even that was pretty rare. And only just recently, I used to always watch Robotech before school. It was so awesome. Maybe I should take over the antennas. We'll have to catch the signal again. On the other hand, Oya has asked me to find the tape. It wouldn't be nice to disappoint her. In my sleepy state, I didn't have the strength to do all of it. I sifted through the shelves full of dolls and blue hippos from Kinder Surprise. I found the tape I needed thanks to its shabby spine. I got the black rectangle from its box. The tape inside it rustled when rewinding to the beginning. The rustle was lulling me to sleep. Drowsiness attacked me while I was squatting before the TV. Images rolled in my head, me and Oya flying above the forest, tumbling in the soft clouds. My little sister is laughing but her smile becomes more and more forced with every passing second. I notice that the clouds underneath us part, bearing the bristly pine tops. Swampy darkness slurped among the trees. The wings are no longer able to hold us and Olia. You haven't started without me, have you? My sister brought the tray with an unevenly cut bread and a whole can of condensed milk. I rubbed my eyes. No, come sit. Mom and Dad are arguing again. We're going through rough times. Rough times are lame. On the screen, Wendy was hiding Peter Pan's shadow in the dresser. Olia was entertained by the cartoonish dog, Nana. Maybe Mom and Dad will buy us a dog too. Yeah, right. I have my own dog in Neverland, and a cat, and a parrot. William smeared a slice of bread with a thick layer of condensed milk and handed it to me. Have you lost all your baby teeth? Obviously. William frowned deep in thought. Peter Pan has baby teeth. Lefton won't let you go to his land with adult teeth. We'll think of something. We'll ask Dad to alter your age in the passport. Why would Dad forge documents? Willie took a bite from the sandwich and started talking with her mouth full. He will! He hood, Mom. He did that before. That's illegal. You'll grow ears as big as Dumbo's. Willie got worried and touched her ears. I smiled to myself. My little sister was silent now. She just devoured bread, watching the adventures of Peter Pan, Tinker Bell, and James Hook. As if she got sucked into the fairy tale of Neverland. To be honest, I also imagined myself there, in a land where no one ever ages, where no one argues over little things, where no one listens to fights and the sound of broken plates at night. I felt like I was dreaming with my eyes still open. Then my sister's scream pulled me back to reality. Tony, shut the curtains, fast! Why? No one's watching you. It's dark. When it's dark, the owl comes. I'm scared. I got out of bed, fighting the drowsiness, and closed the curtains. I did my best not to look outside, toward the treetops, toward the taiga forest, which seemingly drew closer and closer. Of course, it was just a visual effect from the shadows of the branches scraping the snow. Tony, Mom thinks I made the owl up, and Dad too. Thinks I'm a liar since I'm small. But the owl exists. Honestly it does. You do believe me, right? That it comes every night and I swiftly grabbed Oli's hand and looked her in the eyes. I was trying to transfer at least some of my courage and determination. But did I really have those qualities? Yes, I believe you, alright. Just don't nag our parents about it anymore. They're already dealing with a lot, so they'll just get mad at you. Come and tell me if anything happens, and don't look out the window. But it wants me to look. Does it matter? Doesn't matter! Act like it doesn't exist and it never existed. Like it's made up, just like Mom and Dad say. You'll get tired of waiting and fly away. It was madness, but after everything that's happened recently, I was more and more inclined to believe Boy's owl existed. Holy shit, it's been an hour. I want to go a little further, because I understand this is in chapters, so yeah, we'll figure it out. We followed Peter Pan's adventures as if nothing had happened, as if the forest didn't kidnap kids, as if our parents weren't trying to tearing each other apart bit by bit. Captain Hook was running away from a crocodile, and Peter Pan was heading to London on a gilded sailboat. By some miracle, I lasted longer than my little sister. Oya's eyelids had dropped, and she started snorting lightly, resting her chin on the side of the bed. I stood up and left Oya's room. I was looking out the window, studying the field, when Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day at school tomorrow. Go to bed. You should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults took everything so simple. And if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me, or as if, sorry, I can't read. I'm very hungry. I covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming, to something invisible rustling in the corners. An inner voice had questions for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Maybe it's just a part of growing up and I can't fully understand my own desires. The forest wailed behind the barrier. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice that I fell into slumber. Wow. So when is part 2 coming out? Wow. Yeah, I don't even know when the second one's coming out. But I really want to play some more. So, on an episode, I'm hungry as hell. So, as always, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, give me suggestions, gameplay tips, or comments in the comment section below. And I'll see you all in the next episode.